Hello students, welcome to the class. What the class we are going is that engineering geology, and already have seen two classes, and this class we are going to see about the weathering action, right? So weathering action is very important in the geological formation, right? So weathering is there for the formation of glaciers, formation of the rock, formation of the mountain, formation of the plains, formation of the that is valley, everything. That is one or other thing is the weathering. Okay, so what is weathering? Weathering is the breaking down of rocks into small and smaller pieces. We call it as the weathering. Weathering, not it is withering, it is weathering. Due to the action of the weather, the rocks will break into small pieces. We call it as the weathering action, right? So weathering action may be of two types. One is by mechanical means, or we call it as a physical, right? The next one it is due to the chemical action, right? The chemical action may be oxidation, hydration, carbonation, dissolving, any action. The physical is that due to the pressure, heat, to the physical part, how the weathering action will take place, that we call it as the weathering. Okay, here you can see the weathering of the rocks. So due to the weathering, you can see this mountain, due to the weathering, natural weathering, it is coming and it is deposited as a rocks, small rocks, small pieces of rocks. You can see now pieces of rocks here. But the due course, what happened? These pieces of rocks, due to the erosion, deposition, transportation, sedimentation, everything happens, and it forms another type of rocks in a distant place, right? So that is the main action of the weathering action, right? Okay, the small pieces of stones, when it is carried from a place to the other place, right, the properties may differ, right? The properties differs, the particle size differs, maybe due to the sedimentation, if it is forming one after another, the entire strata, that is the folded members also differs, the strength differs, the properties differs, everything will differ in a stone. So it is a rock, the weathering down, what is weathering is the breaking down of particles or the rocks into small and smaller pieces. We call it as the weathering. Two types of weathering is there, one is mechanical, one is chemical. In this class we are going to see the simple topic about weathering and the types of weathering alone, right? So first we will go for the mechanical weathering. The first one we are going to see about the animals. Okay, so the animals, all of you know, right? So this is a burrow. All of you, if you are going into the field now, you should have seen the rabbit weathering inside. Okay, a big rat, right? It is weathering inside. Everything, the animals will have a habit of burrows, right? We call it as a burrow, right? So the burrowing process will be through the soil layer, again it will be through the rock layers. Due to this, what happened? The particles get scattered here and there. If it is through a rock layer, and what point of time the rocks will break down into pieces. Hard rocks, hard soil will break down into pieces. You can see that how much depth this weathering, this burrow is there. Okay, you can see here a big animal going in for weathering. So due to this weathering action, what happens? The soil breaks down. The rocks breaks down into pieces. Okay, this is the first one. First one is due to weathering. The next one, it is due to ice wedging, right? How ice is formed? Ice is formed due to the water vapor condenses and it forms the ice, right? If the ice forms in between the rock layers, there will be pores in the rock layers. All of you know, you take this as a rock, right? Due to the freezing and thawing action. Freezing is the temperature, the ice that it is undergoing below -0 degrees. Thawing is above +20 degrees. When this action takes place, there will be automatically some pores will be there. This pores will be fully filled with the ice, right? What happens? One fine morning when thawing action is taking place, this rocks will break down, right? So thawing, when it is for example, I am telling you about water. Okay. So what happens if the water is freezed into ice? The volume increases. When the water is again heated, it will come and the volume decreases due to heat. So the same process will take place and this will cause the rocks to break into pieces. It is one of the weathering. Here also you can see the weathering actions, that here you can see that the rock is weathered. Here you can see the action of in the winter season it will be fully of snow and in the summer season it will be of hot. So this will also be due to this weathering action where the rocks freezes and thaws over and over again and splits into small pieces. This is the most common action in the mountains. When the mountains, when you are going for high altitude, the temperature gets reduced. Even you go for a hill station, you feel that humidity, like very chillness. That is due to when there is this action is there, then this alternate of freezing and thawing will be much more. So the first one we saw about animal, the second is due to ice wedging. Here also I give an example, right? So here it is the rock where there is a ice is formed here. You can see the white color ice that is formed here, right? So this ice will be again and again it is thawing and freezing, it will break the mountains into small pieces. You can see that in the roads, right? So in the roads there are several small cracks will be there. Crazing cracks, we call it as a crazing cracks. What is crazing cracks is that if it is in a surface, if the rock is of like this, it is not a continuous, it is a discontinuous cracks, we call it as a crazing cracks, right? So crazing is nothing but the animal go and eat here some grass, there some grass, like that. That is crazing, right? So like that, cracks will be like this. It is not continuous. You can see it is not continuous. It's not uniform like this. So what happens in the night when there is a very chillness happens? This small holes will be blocked by the water. It freezes. Okay, once it freezes, then the pores will be enlarged. Right? Once the ice is formed, the pores will be enlarged. The next day when the sun comes, this ice will again melt, thawing, freezing and thawing. So what happens? This will again depart and it will form breaks into small pieces. It will weather. That is the second, ice wedging. The third one, it is the plant growth, right? So how many of you have seen this type of plant growth? All of must have seen, right? So the root of the soil has, plant has a very, capacity to grow even up to a 10 meters distance, right? How much high the tree is, that much depth the tree, that is the root will be, right? This root, it will penetrate into the rocks and it will break the rock into pieces. You can see it even if you are having some trees near your home, they will tell don't keep these trees here. This tree requires lot of water, and what happens? This will absorb the water and it will even penetrate into your foundation, penetrate into your home. It will have a crack in the compound wall or into the building. So that type of trees are very harmful. But we have so much number of trees in the mountains like that. Okay, where it will penetrate into the rock layers for the want of waters and it will break the rock layers into small pieces. Here you can see, even within a rock layer, a tree has grown, which is, breaking the rocks into small pieces, into multiple pieces. Like that it will grow. Here also you can see so many rocks are there, where the roots are penetrating into the rocks and it is dividing into the small pieces. That is the third one. So here you can see the roots of plants also push into the rocks and breaks the rocks into small pieces. So the first one animal, the second one ice wedging, the third one we are seeing is the plant growth. Okay, the fourth one is the release of pressure. Okay, so actually we have seen already the sedimentary rock formation, and also we have seen about the metamorphic rock formation. What is sedimentary rock formation? one by one layer after another layer, the sediment is formed and it is compressed, pressurized in order to form a sedimentary rock. What is metamorphic rock? One side the heat will be there, if that is there now. One side the heat will be there and another side the pressure will be there, right? If the rock is formed now, pressure will be there, heat will be there. Okay. So due to the heat and pressure, the rock formation is, we call it as the metamorphic rock. So here the release of pressure, it will break. Okay. All the rocks inside has a pressure, right? All the soil, every person will have a pressure, like that every rock inside will have a pressure. When this pressure is exceeding the limit, it will break open, right? So that is what you can see, that it is mainly due to the movement of plates, right? So here is one plate is there, okay? So here there will be one plate, here there will be another plate, there will be third plate. So this plate pushes this plate move away from it, and this plate also move like this. The plates will move in different direction where the pressure exaggerates and it will break into small pieces. Okay, so this is the release of pressure. And the last one, it is the abrasion. Abrasion is nothing but two particles moving against one another. We call it as the abrasion. So abrasion is a very common thing in a rock. Either it is abrased by the natural wind, or it is abrased by water, or it is itself get abrased against some other materials. Then the rock gets broken into small pieces. You can see here, right? So there is a water that is coming out, which is getting abrased, right? The rocks get abrased due to the pressure of the water. Here you can see the wind forces. So this air is getting here, and it will get abrasing the layer by which the this hitting is happening, the scraping is happening, everything happens, and it the whole rock, you can see it is weathered. This much is not found, this much is not found, right? So maybe also this type of rocks you can see very well due to this abrasion process. The ultimate you can see layer by layer. It is abrased like this now, so it will be layer by layer, layer by layer. It is mainly because of the abrasion action. So we have seen first one animals, second one ice wedging. What is the third one? Plant. The fourth one, it is the release of pressure. The fifth one, it is abrasion. We will see abrasion in detail because it is the most common thing that we can find. Okay. So this is another abrasion because of the sand blasting. Where you have seen the sand blasting? Mostly we see in the desert, they take the sand dunes, right? So where large amount of sand is falling from one place to another due to pressure, right? So what happens means this sand will come in a pressure and it will be moving in the directions. So it will be having an abrasion reaction over the surface, right? So it will have an abrasion reaction over the surface. So this layer will get into small pieces. Okay, the weak layer will be formed at the top, and on fine morning it will also move along with the sand dune as a small pieces. The rocks formed like this now, you can see there is so much of different shapes are there, right? Okay, that we call it as the due to the sandstone shape due to the coastal erosion, right? Coastal wind. Here also you can see this, right? Okay, due to the coastal wind, it's so much of sand is come and deposited here, and these are the materials that is deposited along with the sand, and it will have abrasion layers along with this rocks, and it will break into small pieces. Okay, so the next one, it is the abrasion, it is due to the water. I told you it is abrasion may be due to water, due to wind, due to sand, any natural resources. So here you can see the abrasion due to water. So here what happens? The rocks against each other and wears away the surface of the rock by abrasion. The water, faster it comes, the more the abrasion of with the rocks and more weathering will take place. Okay. So where you can see the falls and there is moving in a very high pressure now, you can see that after some years, right, maybe 20 years or 30 years, you can see the rock shapes itself will differ. You can see if you are near your place now, if there is waterfalls, you can imagine that the place will be differ. Even in the Rocky Mountains like Himalayas and other things, due to this water, throughout the year there is a water flow. Due to the pressure of the water and other things, the rocks are carried out from the mountains and it is deposited all along its river banks, right? So this is due to abrasion. And the next is also glaciers. The glaciers, what are the glaciers? Glaciers are the very big, ice rocks that are moving from one place to another. We call it as a glacier. When glacier happens, the permanent water, when it is freezes to very high, that is very low temperature, we call it as a, we will form a ice, we call it as a glaciers, right? So this glaciers will form, and this glaciers will be there in the rock, having an abrasion reaction with the rock, right? So the glaciers are very strong rock when it is in a very solid position. You all know about the Titanic, right? So the Titanic went and it was, dashed against a glacier where it all sink into the water. So similarly, that much strong the glacier will be. So due to this glacier and the rock abrasion reaction, the rock will be, because the rocks are weak compared to the glaciers, the rocks will break into small pieces. And mostly after the glacier, when there is a sun, the water will flow down. Then you can see the type of rocks along the glacier, that is due to the glazing action. This one, as I told you already now, this is due to the abrasion. Mostly this type of rocks will be, you can see, right? So there will be a very rough surface of uniform thing. That is mainly due to the glacier action, abrasion. Okay. So the next one we will see about the chemical weathering. So till now what we have seen is about the physical weathering. Physical weathering may be due to the animal and due to the ice wedging, or next due to the plant growth, next due to the pressure that is coming from the neighboring sources, and the next one it is abrasion. Abrasion due to the natural resources like water, wind, sand, glaciers, everything that we call it as the abrasion reaction. Reaction is abrasion. So these are the things about the physical weathering. Now we will go in for the chemical weathering. Okay. So in this physical weathering, the change of materials of the properties depends upon the transportation and erosion. But not so much of difference we can't find out by except this pressuring action. But in the chemical weathering, we can see that the whole properties may change, right? So in chemical weathering, you can see here, that is the water moves through rock dissolving iron and it forms a feldspar. From the iron, the rock having an iron, due to the movement of water along it, the entire iron rock can be converted to a feldspar. This is one of the things. So here you can see, right, due to the chemical weathering action, the color of the stones will change, right? So the chemical weathering is nothing but the weathering, the breakdown of rock is called as weathering. The breakdown of rock due to chemical reaction, we call it as a chemical weathering. So water is considered to be a universal solvent. Everyone knows, right? Water will dissolve anything. When a rock is something is underwater, in moving water and other things, what happens? The particles in the water will be dissolved by the, particles in the rocks will be dissolved by the water, by which the rocks get weathered out, right? So, okay, it dissolves many times, right? Over time, and even the hard rocks will get dissolved in the water when the days goes on, right? So here you can see one of the examples, right? Okay. So the main example is that this water here, when the water level rises now, so some of the rocks will be taken and it will dissolve. So like that many rocks will be dissolved and it will be moving along the water bodies and it is carried out by erosion and deposited in the banks of the rivers. This is the first one. In chemical weathering, the first one is the best universal dissolvent, water. The next one, it is the oxygen. So what happens? Oxygen forms rust. Oh, stones, where rust will form? Rust we have seen only in the irons, but not like that. Even the iron, where you are getting the iron? From the earth, right? So Mother Earth is having the iron. Some rocks will have iron content, ferrous oxide, ferric oxide in the very major proportionate. That types of rocks will be, due to the oxygen present in the atmosphere, due to the oxygen present in the water, this will be converted and the rock's color can be changed. Here you can see now, you can very well see here, the color of the rock actually is this one. But due to this oxidation reaction, due to the oxygen present in the air, this rocks having some iron particles, it is converted and it is, shown as a rust formation, right? You can see very well it is similar to this. I am showing an example. The color will be. Even you can see some rocks here in the volcanic regions, right? So the rocks will completely change into a iron oxide colors, right? So this is the next one. So iron combines with oxygen. That is the second one. The first one is water. Second one it is oxygen. The third one it is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is the most dangerous gas for us and also for the rocks, because CO2 mixed with water creates carbonic acid. What this carbonic acid will do now? It will slowly dissolve the limestone present in the rocks. All the rocks will have some limestone. If it is a calcareous type of rock, it will have large amount of limestone. If it is a silicious or argillaceous rocks, it will have small amount of limestone. But all the rocks will have limestones, and this type of limestone will be converted to carbonic acid, which by the time it will break the rocks into pieces. You can see here, right? So here you can see this one. The white color, that is the limestone which is dissolved by the presence of carbon dioxide, and by this the rocks are getting broken along this line. So here I have given a schematic diagram by which you can see the formation of the carbonic acid here and there. So what happens? Along with this layer, the rocks will be broken and it will be carried out as a small things. Here you can see, even under the cave or even under a very big depth, white layers of carbonic acid are formed because of the lime, that is efflorescence, everything. So he can see the white layers which as the time goes, it will break the rocks into small pieces. So the third one, it is carbon dioxide. Easy to remember, right? Water, oxygen, carbon dioxide. Let us see what is the next one. Next one, it is living organisms. All algae, fungi, everything that comes under the thing, and it will break the thing. So this is also for even the plants, animals, everything will have some organism, death organism matters. So you can see here the very well the formation of the algae, fungi along the rock, above the rock. You can see here very well, you can see along the, even near a falls or anything, you can see the formation of this algae, fungi, everything on the rock layers. After some time, what will happen? It will deep root into it and it will eat away the rocks and every organisms in it, and it will break the rock into small pieces. Okay, the fourth one, it is living organism. The next one, it is acid precipitation. Where acid is found in water, acid is found in air, acid is found everywhere. So this acid will slowly eat away the rocks. Okay, here you can see the best example is all of you know is the marble that is eaten away, marble of Taj Mahal that is eaten away due to the acid reaction. That I am not talking about because it is a man-made. I am talking about the original rocks that is having a layer, it is eaten away by the acid. Right? You can see it is eaten away by the acid. Here you can see, right? So the whole rocks, it will be demolished due to the acid reaction. So now we will see what are the chemical weathering we have seen. One is water, carbon dioxide, oxygen, living organism, acid precipitation. Now we will see the main difference between that is the mechanical weathering and the chemical weathering. So the mechanical weathering, two things, mainly because of the plants and animals. The roots of the plants also push into the rocks and break them apart. The animals burrowing and digging will give the break the that is the rocks apart. This is due to the living organism. Due to the non-living organisms, water, wind, ice glaciers, everything acts on the rocks and it will break the rocks into small pieces. Okay. So the next one, it is a chemical weathering. we will see the living organism is plants and water, universal water, plants is having living organisms, everything that will act and it will decay and the fungus formation, everything. It will also weather the rocks and also it will change the rocks properties, right? So here the next one, non-living organism is water, acid, groundwater, oxidation. This is due to the oxidation reaction. I told you now all chemical reaction will take place by which the weathering reaction takes place. Okay. So now what I want to tell you here, it is the two types of weathering reaction. Weathering is the breaking down of rocks into small pieces. We have seen two types of weathering. One is physical weathering, one is chemical weathering. And we are going to see what is the importance. To summary, the importance of rock weathering as a civil engineering. So select a suitable quarry. Okay. So what is the type of rock is there? So what type of quarrying method I have to adopt? What type of rock I will be getting as a civil engineer? That you can see, you can very well understand only from the weathering action. The second one, it is the loss of strength. Weathering always leads to the strength loss in the rocks. So how much strength will be lost? Which type of weathering is there? Whether it is due to water body or whether it is due to the sand or it is due to the physical or chemical reactions, whether the weathering is already has taken place, how much it has weathered, everything that leads to the loss of strength, that we have to know. So the next one we are going to see is the affected by weathering, the possible effect of weathering processes, that we will be understanding. All these things that we will understand to know about the type of rocks, type of stones we will be getting, by which we can know whether it is applicable for the construction purpose, whether I can use it for the foundation, whether I can use it for the decorative purpose, whether I can use it as a that is chemical by reaction is there, or whether I can use it like that, whether I can use it for a wall, floor, roof, staircase, everything that depends upon the rock, that is the weathering actions and the formation of the rock. So in this class we have seen what is a weathering. Weathering is the breaking down of particles into small types, and the two types of weathering is there. One is mechanical weathering, the next one it is the chemical weathering, and we saw in physical or mechanical. Okay, in physical weathering we saw 5 types, and in chemical weathering we saw 5 types, and mostly the weathering is due to the weathering action, means it is mainly due to the natural things like the water, organisms, plants, animals, everything. Living and non-living organisms also plays a very important role. And also we saw why as a civil engineer we should know about this weathering action, right? So we should know the weathering action, because from the type of rocks available in your site only, you can take whether it is available, we can take it for the construction purpose. Okay, so the next class we will see about the erosion. Okay, so thank you, and save the earth. Okay, that is the main part of this subject. Okay.